Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here, Virgo, for your energy, for your presence, for choosing to be in this space with me right now. I see you, and I'm grateful you're here. So, let's talk about what's been happening in your awareness lately, because there's something you've been feeling, something you've been sensing, this awareness that you're not as alone in your thoughts as you might have believed. And I know you've been trying not to think about it, trying not to give it too much weight, trying not to read into things or create meaning where maybe there isn't any. But your body knows something, your energy knows something, and that's why you're here right now. There's someone, and you know who I'm talking about. You feel it. This connection that hasn't fully dissolved, even though there's been distance, even though there's been silence, even though circumstances have created separation. Does this resonate with what you've been feeling? Let me know in the comments. Here's what I'm noticing in your energy right now. You're in a space where you're allowing yourself to feel again. You're allowing yourself to be soft again, not in a desperate way, not in a needy way, but in an honest way, in a way that acknowledges that this person, they still occupy space in your heart. They still matter. They still show up in your thoughts. And you've been trying to figure out if that's okay, if it means something, if you should push it away or lean into it or just let it be. And what I want you to know is it's okay to feel what you feel. It's okay to acknowledge that someone still matters to you, even if they're not physically present. It's okay to hold space for complexity, for unresolved energy, for connections that don't fit into neat categories. You're human. You're allowed to feel. You're allowed to miss. You're allowed to wonder. But here's the thing, this isn't just about what you're feeling. There's something else happening, something in the energetic space between you and this person, something that's alive, something that's moving. And I'm not saying this to create false hope. I'm not saying this to make you wait or wish or wonder. I'm saying this because you're already sensing it. You're already feeling it. And I'm just here to validate what you already know. This person, they're aware of you, they're thinking about you, they're feeling your absence in a way that's becoming harder to ignore. Have you been sensing this? This feeling that you're not forgotten? Let me know if this speaks to you. Now, I need to be really clear about something. I'm not here to tell you what someone else is thinking in detail. I'm not inside their head. I'm not reading their mind. I don't have access to their internal dialogue or their specific thoughts. But what I am aware of, what I'm noticing in the energy, is that there's a pull, there's a longing, there's a recognition that something is missing. And that something is you. This person, um, they've been moving through their days. They've been doing whatever they've been doing. They've been occupying themselves with work, with distractions, with other people, with other things. But underneath all of that, there's this awareness, this sense that something isn't right, that something is incomplete, that there's a void where you used to be. And at first, maybe they tried to ignore it. Maybe they tried to convince themselves it was fine, that the distance was necessary, that moving on was the right choice. That time would make it easier. But time hasn't made it easier. Time has made it clearer. Time has revealed what actually matters. And what actually matters is you. You're not just a memory. You're not just a chapter that's closed. You're not just someone they used to know. You're someone who left an imprint, someone who created an impression, someone who changed something inside of them that can't be unchanged. And they're feeling that now. They're becoming aware of that now. They're recognizing that you weren't just another person, you were someone significant, someone irreplaceable, someone they didn't fully appreciate when they had the chance. Does this resonate with what you've been sensing? Let me know in the comments. Here's what I want you to understand. This awareness they're having, it's not about you. Not really. It's about them. It's about their own process, their own realization, their own recognition of what they let go of, what they walked away from, what they didn't fight for. And that's their journey, that's their learning, that's their growth. But what matters for you, what matters right now, is how you're holding this, how you're being with this, how you're allowing yourself to feel without losing yourself in it. Because here's the truth: you can acknowledge that someone misses you, you can acknowledge that someone is feeling your absence, you can acknowledge that there's still energy between you, and you can still be grounded in yourself. You can still be centered in your own life. You can still be focused on your own path. You don't have to do anything with this information. You don't have to reach out. You don't have to make it easier for them. You don't have to rescue them from their own feelings or their own choices. You can just be. You can just acknowledge what's true. You can just sit with the awareness that you mattered, you still matter, and that impact, it doesn't just disappear because someone chose distance. Have you been feeling this pull to stay grounded even while feeling the connection? Let me know. Here's what I'm noticing specifically. This person, they're not just casually thinking about you. This isn't just a fleeting memory or a random thought. This is something deeper, something more persistent, something that's showing up in their quiet moments, in their alone moments, in the moments when the distractions fade and they're left with themselves. And in those moments, you're there, you're present, you're real, and they're feeling the weight of your absence in a way that's uncomfortable, in a way that's making them question, in a way that's making them wonder if they made the right choice. Maybe they're seeing things that remind them of you. Maybe they're hearing songs that take them back. Maybe they're having experiences that they wish they could share with you. Maybe they're realizing that the people around them, they don't fill the space you used to occupy. And that realization, it's not easy for them. It's not comfortable. It's not something they can just brush off or ignore or rationalize away. They're sitting with it, they're feeling it, and it's growing. But here's what I need you to hear: their discomfort is not your responsibility. Their realization is not your call to action. Their missing you is not an invitation for you to make it easy for them. You've done your part. You've been present. You've been open. You've been available. And they made choices. They created distance. They prioritized other things. And now, now they're feeling the consequence of those choices. And that's appropriate, that's natural, that's part of how people learn what actually matters to them. Does this feel true for you? Let me know in the comments. I want to talk about something important. When someone misses you, when someone realizes your value after creating distance, it can be tempting to soften immediately, to rush back, to make yourself available again, to prove that you're still there, to make it easy for them to reconnect. And I understand that impulse. I understand wanting to bridge the gap. I understand wanting to ease the tension. I understand wanting to return to what felt good. But here's what I want you to consider. Why now? Why is this awareness happening now? what's changed, what's different. Because if nothing has actually changed, if they're just feeling nostalgic or lonely or uncertain, that's not enough. That's not a foundation. That's not something you can build on. Real change requires awareness plus action. It requires recognition plus transformation. It requires them not just missing you, but understanding why they let you go in the first place. Understanding what they need to do differently. Understanding what they're actually willing to offer. And you don't know that yet. You don't know if this is just emotional discomfort or if it's actual growth. You don't know if they're missing who you are or just missing what you provided. You don't know if they're ready to show up differently or if they just want to ease their own discomfort. And you don't have to figure that out for them. You don't have to make it easy for them to come back without having done the work. You don't have to accept breadcrumbs just because someone finally realized you were a whole meal. Your value hasn't changed. Your worth hasn't changed. What you deserve hasn't changed. And if someone wants access to you again, if someone wants to occupy space in your life again, they need to earn that, not through words, through actions, through consistency, through showing you that they understand what they lost and they're willing to do what it takes to honor it this time. Have you been thinking about this? About what would actually need to change? Let me know. Here's the other piece. While this person has been feeling your absence, you've been growing, you've been healing, you've been becoming, you've been learning how to exist without them, how to be whole without them, how to find peace without them. And that growth, it's valuable, it's precious. It's something you've earned through navigating the pain of separation, through choosing yourself even when it was hard, through building a life that doesn't revolve around someone else's presence or absence. So when I say someone misses you, when I say someone is feeling the weight of your absence, I'm not suggesting you drop everything and rush back. I'm not suggesting you make yourself smaller or more available or more accommodating just to ease their discomfort. I'm suggesting you acknowledge what's true and then decide from a place of power, from a place of clarity, from a place of knowing your worth. Because you're not the same person you were when this distance began. You've evolved, you've expanded, you've become someone who knows what you deserve, someone who won't settle, someone who won't accept less just to avoid being alone. And that version of you, she's powerful, she's discerning, she's not easily swayed by someone suddenly realizing what they had. She requires more, she deserves more, and she knows it. Does this feel aligned with who you've become? Let me know in the comments. Now, I want to address something directly. This person's longing for you, their awareness of your absence, their recognition of what you brought to their life. It's real. I'm not saying it isn't. I'm not saying they're faking it or that it doesn't matter. But what I am saying is their feelings are not a command. Their realization is not an obligation. Their missing you is not a debt you owe. You get to choose. You get to decide. You get to determine whether this is someone worth reopening your heart to, whether this is someone who's actually done the work, whether this is someone who can meet you where you are now. And that decision, it doesn't have to be made quickly. It doesn't have to be made based on their timeline or their urgency or their discomfort. It can be made slowly, carefully, with full awareness of what you need, what you deserve, what you're willing to accept. Because here's the truth: someone can miss you and still not be right for you. Someone can recognize your value and still not be capable of honoring it. Someone can feel your absence and still not have the capacity to show up differently. And you're allowed to acknowledge all of that. You're allowed to hold space for complexity. You're allowed to say, I hear that you miss me. I feel the connection too. And I'm not ready, or I'm not sure, or I need to see something different before I can trust this. Whatever is true for you, that's what matters. Not what they need, not what would make them feel better, not what would ease the tension. What matters is what serves you, what honors you, what protects your peace. Have you been feeling this need to prioritize yourself? Let me know. Here's what I'm sensing about where you are right now. You're in a space of awareness, you're feeling the connection, you're sensing that this person is thinking about you, missing you, recognizing your absence, and part of you is soft about that. Part of you feels something. Part of you wonders what it means, and that's okay. That's human, that's real. But there's another part of you, a stronger part, a wiser part, a part that's been built through the process of surviving without them. And that part she's not so easily moved. She's not so quick to soften. She's not so willing to make it easy. And both of those parts can exist. You can feel the connection and still maintain your boundaries. You can acknowledge someone's feelings and still prioritize your own. You can be open to possibility and still require proof before you fully invest again. That's not being cold. That's not being difficult. That's not being unforgiving. That's being wise. That's being discerning. That's being someone who's learned from experience and refuses to repeat patterns that didn't serve you. And I'm proud of you for that. I'm proud of you for not immediately rushing back. I'm proud of you for taking your time. I'm proud of you for honoring your own process, even when it might be easier to just give in. Because you've worked too hard to get here. You've grown too much. You've become too strong. And you're not willing to sacrifice that growth just to ease someone else's discomfort. That's power. That's self respect. That's self love in action. So here's what I want you to sit with: someone misses you, someone feels your absence, someone is recognizing what they had. And that's real, that's valid, that's true. But what's also true is that you're whole without them, you're complete without them, you're thriving without them. And if they want to be part of your life again, they need to add to that. They need to enhance that. They need to contribute something valuable, something real, something that makes your life better, not just more complicated. And until that's clear, until that's proven, you get to stay exactly where you are, grounded in yourself, centered in your own life, focused on your own path. You don't have to wait for them. You don't have to wonder about them. You don't have to make space for them. You can just be present, aware, open to possibility, but not dependent on it. And that that's freedom. That's peace. That's power. Thank you for being here. Thank you for trusting yourself. Thank you for honoring your own growth and your own process. You're doing beautifully. You're exactly where you need to be. And whatever unfolds from here, you're ready for it. I don't sell futures, I build architects. No predictions, just the raw truth for the tough ones. Stay magic, stay in the now.